Florida State fans, sound off about the Virginia game, and it's time to talk Noles and Canes.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Back to Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day, each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just head over to FanDuel.com today. It is going to be a sound-off day. Florida State fans have went crazy commenting after I did my podcast, postcast, and the following day on Saturday. So I'm going to be discussing some of those, some of the things I said on Sunday, just going across the board. Everything that I've had to say, there have been comments on them. I pulled some of those comments, kind of a mailbag, if you will. I want everybody to know what Florida State fans think. I'm going to comment on them as well and kind of go through them. And at the end, I'm just going to kind of give my own opening thoughts on the Florida State-Miami game and just kind of have fun today. We'll get into stats, rivalry stuff, and all the breakdowns of players starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll get into all that. And then Friday, I'll have my prediction. But today, it's mostly going to be about the Florida State fans, kind of giving your thoughts on what's going on. So no particular order here. I'm just going to name the person and go forward with that. First up, Jax Noles. I would like to have seen Chroma get more carries in those short yardage situations. I don't think he was stopped for less than 3 yards all night. I'm going to rewatch, but I'm pretty sure he got chunks virtually every carry. Chroma is a guy that is hard to bring down. He's been that way his whole high school career, and now as a freshman for Florida State. I'm not sure that I can really disagree with Jax Noles here because Chroma, what was it? He got like 6 carries the game before they played UVA. It wasn't that many. He was pretty fresh. Is he healthy? As I like to say, there's no such thing as an accurate injury report ever at any level. But at the same time, I'd rather him be running the ball than about anybody. Sawchuk is the most consistent maybe. But Chroma is pretty close to that as well. And I think he's got more ability to hit big plays long term, and especially his ability to catch the football. Jax Noles might be onto something here. He might be onto something. How many carries? This is the bigger question. How many carries does he get against UM? I'm going to guess it's 10 or more. Total touches, 12 or more. You need to throw the ball to him, not just screens either. He can run under it. Like he can go down the field and make plays like he did a couple games ago for a long touchdown. I'll just say that he's going to have a good game against. Is it going to be great? I don't know because they got a good run defense. But he'll play a significant role for Florida State. We'll leave it at that. Jody Lane, 98-89. So many people thought Virginia couldn't run the ball on Florida State. I tried to warn everyone that UVA's offensive line was really good, and they were averaging 240 yards on the ground. The coaching that was confusing to me, Tony White just never really adjusted to try to stop the run. I don't know if I agree with the last part. I just think that as well as the ball, Chandler Morris threw the ball well, obviously. I just think they didn't want to be exposed on the back end. And I also don't think the linebackers for Florida State overall are great in coverage. They're solid. But like Herring's not a guy that's consistently going to play man coverage and do well. Like he got beat on the wheel route. It's hard when you're a linebacker. Not many of them can really run with running backs in those scenarios. But at the same time, Florida State's got to come up with some new pressures when they play Miami. It's very important that you get the base defense to be good against both, but that's hard. Sometimes the best defense for you against certain teams is not the same on 1st and 10 as it is 3rd and 10. And when they mix up their play calling out of the same package they've been showing run and start throwing, you can get caught a little bit. And that's why it's hard to play teams like Miami or even Virginia, who's a very well-balanced offensive football team. At the same time, you know what? You just got to make more tackles. Florida State just didn't tackle very well in that game. We've talked about it ad nauseum here, and I know a lot of other people have as well. It just has to change. Mega Benjamin, I was heated last night, but after thinking about it, this isn't the worst loss ever. Virginia was severely underrated, and I think Norvell and Gus called a good game. Tony White probably could have fixed some things, but we played till the end. I think that slow start is what really got us. Got to come out firing next week. Agree across the board with Mega Benjamin. Look, the slow start was very, very much a problem. It's not that you weren't moving the ball. It's just they put the ball on the ground, threw it to the other team, all that stuff. Florida State probably should have won this game by 2 touchdowns on regulation, but they shot themselves in the foot. And anytime you give an opponent like Virginia, especially on the road, night game, a glimmer of hope, the opposition has a shot. They got a shot. I don't know how much Florida State will rebound, how much that will motivate them, etc. But calling a good game is not enough. It's got to be executed. And there's always adjustments that you can go back and look at as a coaching staff to improve as well. I imagine that Florida State's got some things they want to do to kind of save from Miami, schematically, emotionally, playing at Doak, all those things. But there won't be anything left on the field. And I'm sure they'll have the focus of the players all week because it's Miami. So I'm not worried about it as much. But at the same time, just to be clear, Mega Benjamin is right in the comment. They played pretty well, but like the slow start, I mean, you just can't have that against anybody. That's on the players, coaches, and everybody for being dialed in, and they weren't. And that's why Virginia won. Richie Underhill, 96-47. I agree. I was there, and they did not look like Florida State that played Bama. It had a 2024 mojo going on. That's a strong statement. And at points, I was commenting on that in the podcast that they're talking about here. They're probably right. The defense seemed confused at times. They weren't ready for this game. 100%. Richie, I don't know you from Adam, but we agree across the board here. It's different when you come out with the mindset to not just win, but to be dominant. Florida State decided against Alabama they were going to be the aggressor. And they took it to them. Against Virginia, for the most part, they were aggressive, but there were times where they didn't tackle well. There were times where they didn't finish blocks quite the way they could have. It was just little things. They were slightly, it wasn't like it was terrible, but you still lost the game. If you make 1 or 2 more plays just in the first half, and that includes not having dumb penalties, you probably win the game by double digits. That's bottom line. And anybody that thinks about it, just go back and watch the first 5 to 8 minutes. How many times was there a drop pass, a penalty, fumble, etc.? Florida State was killing them offensively, and they couldn't score because of turnovers and just self-inflicted wounds. Not being ready for the game, 100%. Brandon Denny, 48-32. Tony White didn't make changes to the defense to stop the short passes and run. I don't think he adjusted a whole lot either, but I think he thought his guys were going to make more plays. The defensive line wasn't up to task. And Brandon, let me be clear, Virginia's O-line's good. I didn't know they were that good. They got guys banged up and out of the lineup. So hats off to the Virginia staff for getting them prepared. They deserve credit. But above all else, what changes would have worked? Of course, we can second guess, as hindsight is always 20/20, but I'm not sure how many run blitzes are going to work against a fairly mobile quarterback and one that's a grad student that sees the field well, and he's not going to be fooled by anything. He's a coach's son. It's pretty hard, in all honesty, to see that working out because, to be really honest with you, Florida State, like, they got 3 picks. They just can't get fumbles. That's the one thing they haven't done this year. They haven't recovered one yet. And they can't get natural pressure. I think he's a little apprehensive to bring the heat. But at the same time, I hear your thoughts. Maybe they'll adjust that a little bit against Miami. I'm not sure, but I don't think they thought they were going to have this much of a problem either. It's debatable, and it's an interesting topic. We'll bring that up when I do the post-game show for Miami. Did they blitz more? Did they take more chances? That's something we're going to see against Miami, in my opinion. I think they'll be more aggressive, but we won't know until the next game gets taken care of. When we come back, we're going to talk more Florida State from all the fans after the game. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots delivering tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients, 0 sugar, 0 crashes. What you're going to love the most, they're easy to pour around. You can take them with you, put them in your pocket. They're just 2-ounce shots. If If you're going to the gym, if you're going to use it later for the office or just going out with some friends, 2 ounce is not going to be very hard to take with you. And on top of it, it's going to be wherever you really want to go. This isn't something that you have to worry about because it's quick and easy and it's convenient for you on the go. Enough with this boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love or the bold new flavors they have in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen. Appreciate it. And if you're not an everydayer, please become one and share this podcast with anybody that is a Nole. Let's get back into all the comments. Had some fun ones, and to be honest, I really appreciate the comment. You want me to start doing more of these? Just comment on the YouTube page. It's a lot of fun for me. I enjoy this. Physicality is a mindset and focus. That mindset wasn't there. That is from Tiny 3D. I think that to say the mindset wasn't there, that's an interesting way to put it. They were locked into a certain degree, but I just didn't see the same physicality. I agree. How I want to define it or how I want to word it, maybe slightly different. Tiny, I tell you what, man. If you look at Florida State in the first quarter, Virginia's defense is not very good. They ran over them for the most part, but there wasn't that one just dominant, knock your socks off play either. Part of it was their scheme, the players playing a little bit light. They weren't trying to come up in the box and just take everything away. But Florida State didn't deliver a knockout blow or any special play early on, effort-wise or anything. And again, scheme is part of that. So there's that. And then defensively, I didn't see the Noles in a scenario where I was comfortable to say that they were taking it to them to the point where Virginia was ever intimidated at all. Their running back, by the way, that kid's good. Jamari's good. But the quarterback, the lineman, everybody, they just went out and played. So hats off to Virginia. J. Mike, 7297. 12 starters out and put up 46 on and got the W. Norvell needs to go. They're not going to fire Norvell. We've talked about this a million times, J. Mike. Look, his contract's too big. They've obviously started anew. They've hired a bunch of new coaches. He's not going anywhere. You can like him, dislike him, or anywhere in between. Norvell is going to be a part of this program for at least a couple more years, is my guess. It's a contract thing. You can look up the exact totals, but he's still owed over $40 million conservatively at this point. He's not going anywhere. Chumpzilla, as a college football fan, this game was one of the best Friday night games I can remember watching in a while. Ranked teams should always be on upset alert when going on the road for a Friday night football game. Amen to that. This kind of goes back to the demeanor thing. Florida State was in the game, just not 100%, in my opinion. The way they tackled, the lack of focus on ball handling, and just not being one step ahead of Virginia the way they were their first three opponents. I don't think there's any doubt about it. So you're absolutely on the money. No way, Jose 1313. Norvell once again tricked us that he has a playoff team, but the defense didn't show up. Let's see how bad Florida State's record is at the end of the season. That's somebody that's jumping off the ship already. I'm only ask Florida State fans, are you ready to jump off the ship for the 25 Noles? I'm not. I think at worst they're going to go to a pretty good bowl game, and I still think they've got a great chance at the college football playoff. They just beat a few weeks ago, they just beat the team that might win the SEC because that team just won at Georgia. That Alabama game is pretty big for Florida State and a feather in their cap for the college football playoff committee. With that being the case, they still got to show more, and I'm not sure Norvell tricked anybody, but this team's still got a chance. Worst case, I'm guessing 9-3 here. That would be my guess, but Florida State's got to prove it. The teams left on the schedule, there are several that are good teams. Is it going to be a great rest of the year? I can't guarantee that, but I like their chances of at least coming close to making the playoff bare minimum. David Kreitzer, NG2FE. Florida State was looking past Virginia. This is like the Virginia Tech loss Ohio State had during a national title winning year. This happens, man. I think that was 2014 when they won it. Yeah, Virginia Tech, I think they won by like 7-10 points or something in Columbus. And Ohio State wasn't locked in. This is a similar deal. Florida State played a quality team, but not one they should lose to. Yeah, it's a road game. Yeah, it's Friday. But I get your point. There's no doubt about it. They should not have been in that scenario, but as the saying goes, Florida State let it happen. That's on Florida State. So no doubt they looked past in some way, shape, or form. Virginia Wahoo 87. This was a good comment from a Virginia fan. Props to you for calling them out. Not ready to lose. So lose when you play like that. I'm a Virginia fan and thought y'all would win by 10. Great game. Wouldn't want to rematch with y'all on the road or a neutral field. Every now and then we get some cool comments from fans from other teams. I'm happy with that. But to be really honest with you, it's pretty rare that one is that honest. You don't see somebody say that if we played again, I wouldn't want it to be on a neutral field or at your house. Respect. I appreciate that. When we come back, I'm going to give my final thoughts on Virginia, just a couple comments, transition into discussing some of the practice thoughts this week for FSU, and then most importantly, opening thoughts on Miami coming to Doak Campbell Stadium. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Quo. One of the tools that help you make a huge difference for a business owner is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying two phones or relying on a landline. For instance, their built-in AI agent will make sure that you get messages that otherwise you wouldn't have when you're busy, you're not in the office, or you're just flat out off the clock. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your 6 months at quo.com, Locked On College. That's QUO.com/Locked On College. And if you're going to be bringing over other phone numbers, they'll port them over for you. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you can get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can use it on over-unders, NFL MVP. You can use it on college, halftime scores, player props, parlays, whatever you want. See what you're going to be doing over at FanDuel.com. So what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel app today and get started with FanDuel. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day, each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm now going to sound off on the Virginia game for just 1 second. Then we're going to transition into the bottom line with FSU Miami. Virginia is over. Like I'm ending the Virginia talk right now on Locked On Seminoles, when the first meeting, etc., happens on Monday, you have to be locked in, ready to take on the world, and that's it. Whatever you learn from the film against Virginia, that's good, but you got to drop it. If you're truly going to be a great team this year, you have to make it happen in the moment. And that moment is now. How you practice is how you win. Last week, Florida State did not do that. Or they would have performed better. You have no reason not to be focused against the University of Miami Hurricanes. It's your arch rival. They're ranked in the top 5. All their fans are loving to talk crap about you right now. Are Florida State players ready to be devoted to their craft this week and be dialed in on the task, emotionally ready, not too much, just emotional in general, but ready to do their job individually, one after the other, to play Miami? At the end of the week, if those players can all just put a nice big dark check mark for that question, then Florida State won't win, nor will they deserve to win. Florida State players need to be ready from practice 1, whatever they need to do. They're going to have to adjust some schemes. It should be a fun week of practice, honestly. They're not going to overtime hit, like go do Oklahoma drill or anything, get these guys beat up. This is going to be more about mental preparation, chalkboard, understanding film, and coming up with a few wrinkles on both sides of the ball and special teams that could play a major role too, to beat Miami. Are you ready? And if you're not ready for playing Miami, why'd you come to Florida State? And here's the other part. There's a chance Florida State goes to the playoff, 100%, even if they don't make the ACC title game. But if you beat Miami, it's going to be really hard not to make the playoff. If that's not an extra incentive, how about this? Beating Miami, there's a good chance you keep them out of the ACC title game. You won't necessarily keep them out of the playoff, but you'd make it very difficult on them. Everything's on the table for you in terms of motivation. How bad do you want it if you're a Florida State football player? Guarantee the coaching staff's riding on this because a bunch of coaches came to Tallahassee, like Tim Harris Jr., like Pot Roast, Tony White, Gus Malzahn, Herb Hand, like Coach Coop. All these guys came over with the chance to put that Florida State brand on their chest every time they walked into a high school, every time they went to an alumni meeting. You're going to get their best this week. Will Florida State players give the coaches their best by the coaching staff's definition of it, not your own? Too many of you guys played individualistically, and it not just hurt, it caused chaos in a way. Turnovers, penalties, lackluster attack. Like, it was just cross board. That's too much of an individual personality, and it swarmed the team. Time to get back to being Florida State. Now, here are a couple opening thoughts, and again, we'll get into these much, much deeper. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all of that. But here's the big thing that I want to take away. The two categories that I'm curious about the most in this game, and it's both sides, both teams. Which team's going to have the most success near the line of scrimmage in terms of being able to rush the passer and mix it up? Miami's got a better front forward defensively. I think everybody kind of knows that. But that doesn't mean Florida State can't be more impactful. Scheme, situation, big plays, and I guarantee you Florida State's going to run some different stuff that hasn't been on film yet this year. Tony's still putting in his defense. That's inevitable. Can they catch Miami flat-footed somewhere to create a +1, meaning you're up a turnover, a sack, strip, fumble, something like that, hopefully scoop and score with it? Can Florida State do that? And obviously prevent it from Miami. Ruben Bain is a beast. Akeem Messador is a beast. They've got two really good inside defensive linemen, and their group of linebackers are talented, pretty physical. But can you make a couple more plays than they do? Now let's flip it around. Miami's run game is probably as generic as anybody's in college football. In ultra, just power-based, like they run duo. For those you don't know, it's just two inside guys getting double teamed. They're trying to get up to the second level on combo block, and they just repeat it. It's generic, straight ahead, just we're going to beat you up football. It's really 1988 football when Mario was a player. When he went to Miami, I think he redshirted his first year, but when he was playing, that's the kind of football that there was around, although Miami was throwing it around a little more than he does. That concept, that's what they're going to try to do. What are you going to have when Miami is trying to run the ball down your throat, especially when they're having a successful drive, to mix it up and change the momentum? Florida State's defense didn't change the momentum against Virginia very much. I'm calling them out right now. Straight up, I'm calling Florida State's defense out. You guys did a very poor job later in the game, especially like third quarter, they missed the field goal. That's unfortunate. You still could have got a stop there, got the ball back. They were at least moving the ball good again. You didn't do it. End of the game, Virginia did some really good things to get ahead, and then in overtime, etc. They made just more plays than you guys did. Well, you can't get Virginia back, but you can take it out on Miami. You've got to find a way to come up with game-changing plays. We'll see what happens there. And finally, this is the fun part that I don't know how it's going to go. I've alluded to this 2 or 3 times in the last week or so. Gus Malzahn's playbook is big. He's been coaching a long time. I don't know what the Gus Bus has in mind, but I guarantee you there's going to be a few plays, not necessarily trick plays, although I expect some of that is a possibility, that he's going to pull out against Miami. How many of those do you guys execute at an elite level to not only make it a good play, but to put it in the end zone? Whether it's some kind of reverse that he's never shown, some kind of pass with the formations, I have no idea. Gus is very creative. Whatever that is, there's a reason that he's doing it. He's the mad scientist. He's been doing it a long time. I highly advise the offensive players pay really good attention to any little thing that he's adding in, a wrinkle. Maybe it's a play you guys run a lot. It's just out of a different format. Whatever, there's a reason he's doing it. He's going to attack the Miami defense probably differently than anybody else. You're going to see more motions and shifts than anybody because that's his offense. But again, there's going to be wrinkles from the same stuff that he shows formationally that he hasn't run that play before. It's coming. There's no way Miami can literally be prepared for all the things Gus has. With that being said, still got to execute it. After the way you guys, especially in the first quarter, failed to do so, will you prove me wrong and do it against Miami? Obviously, against that opponent, there's a smaller room for error anyway. You need to score over 30 points to win that game. Can you do it against a great D? And they've got a great defense so far this year. They deserve that credit. Can Florida State make that happen? And again, those wrinkles, there's a reason he's going to put them in. Whatever they may be, execute them, you got a really good chance to win the game. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and become an everydayer. If you are on Apple, make sure you hit that download button for automatic. It'll come right to you every day to make it easy. We will see you again soon here on Locked On Seminoles.